During 1984, the Scottish region of British Rail became, to all appearances, an independent network. Not only was a new title adopted, ScotRail, but new liveries and logos were introduced. ScotRail has, arguably, become the most colourful part of British Rail. The basic ScotRail livery is based on the Intercity Executive livery, but with a light blue waistband replacing the red. At least one vehicle, seen here, had a darker blue waistband applied. In the Glasgow area, the PTE colours of black and red have been adopted for both EMUs and DMUs, lettered for Strathclyde Transport. Mark I coaches used on the Stranraer Sealink workings have appeared in Sealing colours, but that organisation, now independent of BR, has had several changes of livery since these were applied. Scottish depots are applying logos to both coaches and locomotives, these being Glasgow Eastfield and Inverness respectively. The Scottish Region Public Affairs Department kindly arranged for us to ride the cab of Class 47 number 47474 from Perth to Inverness on the 0925 train from Edinburgh to Inverness on the 8th of January 1985. The February 1985 edition of the Railway magazine has a full log of a journey by HST over this route by Mr. P.W.B. Semmons. The Highland Main Line is now the only line leading north from Perth. The marshalling yards to the left are now used by the Engineers Department. At Stanley Junction, the line becomes single to Blair Athol. The former Caledonian main line to Aberdeen used to run northeast from here, but has now been lifted. Beyond Stanley Junction, the train called at Dunkeld before passing through Ivor Tunnel. At Lockery we passed a train of bitumen tanks from Culloden, headed by two Class 20s. From Blair Athol, the line is double-tracked over the first summit. This part of the line was single for many years, but was redoubled as part of the improvements made in the 1970s to cope with the anticipated traffic increases resulting from the North Sea oil boom. Inverness was expected to form the nucleus of the onshore industry, but to a large extent this has not occurred. In winter, the exposed line over the Grampians frequently becomes blocked by snow, and in steam days the combination of steep gradients over what was known as the hill and severe weather made footplate conditions highly undesirable. At Dalwhinnie, the line again becomes single, the train calling at Newton Moor before stopping at King Eusey. Beyond King Yusi, a length of line has recently been upgraded to a 100-mile-an-hour standard for HSTs. This will enable timings to be improved in the new timetables to compete with road coaches on the adjacent A9 road. Aviemore is now probably the most important intermediate station on the Highland Line, due to the tourist facilities which have been developed there to cater for both summer and winter visitors. Aviemore was the junction for the original and new Highland lines to Inverness. The original line was closed in the post-beaching era, but the first portion to Boat of Garton has been preserved by the Strathspey Railway, whose Aviemore Speyside station and locomotive shed can be seen to the right of our picture. At Carbridge, the final station before Inverness, we were routed into the Loop line to enable the 1220 from Inverness to pass non-stop. Slough is the second and final summit on the Highland Main Line, from whence the line is downhill to Inverness. bridges and viaducts on the new line were constructed for double line, but the line has always been single, with crossing loops, except from Culloden to Inverness. At Culloden, famous for its battle, the closed station is still a source of revenue for the line, a bitumen terminal occupying the former goods yard. At Inverness, a start has been made on a track rationalisation and re-signalling programme. This is designed to eliminate over 3.5 miles of redundant track, 33 point ends, and to extend colour light signalling, controlled from Inverness, to Dingwall, Elgin and Dalwhinnie. This is scheduled for completion by the end of the decade. The Severn Valley Railway is one of the world's leading preserved railways. Located in the West Midlands along the upper reaches of the River Severn, the railway runs for 16 miles from Bridgnorth to Kidderminster. The railway has its locomotive shed and workshops at Bridgnorth and has had up to 14 locomotives working at any one time, notably on its Enthusiasts weekends, which are held twice a year when an intensive service is operated. It's anticipated that the railway will have 18 operational locomotives in 1985, although some of these will be lent to BR for GW 150 celebrations. During 1984, the railway received two distinguished visitors, 5051 Drislewin Castle and 3717 City of Truro. The latter is to be prepared by the railway for GW 150 purposes. During Enthusiasts weekends, demonstration goods trains are run between Bridgnorth and Bewdley. Trains departing Bridgnorth face a curving adverse gradient prior to crossing a bridge over the new Bridgnorth bypass, which at one time threatened the continued use of Bridgnorth station. Erdington Halt is no longer a scheduled stopping point, but is sometimes used by the permanent way staff who have their depot here. Hampton Load was the original southern terminus of the railway when first purchased by the Preservation Company in 1970. It became a crossing point in 1974 when services were extended to Bewdley. Highley Station, 7 miles from Bridgnorth, which has a passing loop but only one platform, forked the northern terminus for a local train service run on the 1984 Enthusiasts weekends. The station was runner-up to Arley Station in the 1983 Best Restored Station competition, organised by the Association of Preserved Railways. Darley, the 1983 best restored station, is situated on the opposite bank of the river to the village it serves. One of the most famous landmarks of the railway is the Victoria Bridge, which carries the line over the river. It's seen here from the southeastern side. Bewdley is the company's administration headquarters. It was formerly a double junction for lines going to Cleobury-Mortimer and to Stourport, both of which have been lifted. The carriage paint shop is located here, and some locomotive restoration also takes place. South of Bewdley, the former Stourport branch forms a siding. Some idea of the intensity of traffic can be gauged by these Santa Specials on December the 22nd, 1984. Kidderminster Town Station is being constructed by the railway in a style of the Great Western, as used at Ross-on-Wye in the 1930s. The first part has been completed, and the station will eventually have 2 platform faces. Barry Scrapyard. At the beginning of 1985, a few rusted hulks still remain, most carrying some message of hope. One locomotive to escape is ex-Southern Bullard Pacific number 35010, Blue Star. This has been purchased by the British Enginemen's Association for restoration and eventual use on London's preservation project based on North Woolwich Station. Preservation has many pitfalls even before restoration starts. The tractor unit supplied to haul Blue Star to London broke down and another was substituted. Arrival in London was in a snowstorm and the ceremonial welcome by the local mayor was a soggy affair. Finally, the attempt to unload the engine in a former warehouse was frustrated by a narrow entrance and an awkward corner. Eventually, Blue Star reached her new home, and we hope to revisit her at intervals to record progress on her.
On the shed, a phrase that to drivers and firemen means the end of the run, another journey safely completed. But it means much more than that. What does happen to an engine in between runs? Well, let's see. As soon as the train comes to a standstill, the driver makes an immediate examination of his engine. Practiced hands feel bearings and big ends. Yes, engines have big ends just like motor cars, so that any tendency to run hot can be corrected. Not much time to waste in the station, though. Platforms are required for other trains, so we must be moving.
Right, Tom.
Engine on the shed means another journey that starts when the coaches are backed slowly out of the station. A journey that is part of the system that keeps British Railways the safest and most reliable in the world. Near to all big traffic centres are located engine sheds, which in addition to serving as garages, act the part of father, mother and nursemaid to the 7,000 engines that are under their care. A carefully devised schedule of examination, cleaning and repairing ensures that every engine that takes the road will be as mechanically perfect as it is possible to make it. The engine shed, and there are 231 of them, is responsible for the engine's mechanical efficiency on the road.
Back a foot. Whoa!
The engine correctly balanced, the locking bars are placed in position. The job is really simplicity itself. Connect the pipe to the vacuum on the engine. Operate the lever controlling the compression motor. And well, the engine just goes around and around. And it finishes up here. While the fireman waters the engine, the driver books on the pit.
$61.70, 10:30 ex Houston on the shed, 2:35.
This modern coaling plant has a capacity of 350 tons. The tender of a modern express engine holds up to 9 tons of coal. Truckloads of coal are tipped bodily into the giant hopper, which, operated automatically, rises to the top of the building and discharges its contents into bunkers. The coaling plant can coal 4 engines at the same time with either of 2 grades of coal. A mechanical device records the number of the engine, dialed by the fireman, and the amount of fuel supplied. Imperative data for checking consumption. Water sprayed on the coal keeps down dust. A jigger sets in motion the flow of coal. From the coaling plant to the ash pits. Ashes which collect on the run are shoveled from the smoke box down a chute. Water again acting as a dust layer. The chute carries the ashes to a hopper, and the ash lifting plant discharges them direct into a wagon without intermediate handling. Now to remove the fire. First it is broken down with a pricker to facilitate lifting the fire out of the box. Then it is paddled out and thrown down the chute. Now to deal with the ash pan.
Open your damper, Tom.
After deadening the ashes with a hose, the ash pan is raked out. The ashes being carried through a grid in the floor to the hopper on the ash lifting plant. In booking off, the driver makes out a report showing any defects in the engine which he may have found either when on the road or during his examination of it during his disposal on the shed. Where none is found, a special form is provided.
Lost 2 minutes at Stafford, George, but right time in. She's a good one, 61.70. Cheerio.
And now we must return to our engine. It is time she was got ready for her next run. The first task is no job for heavyweights. The bar boy cleans the scale that accumulates on the inside of the firebox, which unless removed would cause loss of heat. Now to get some fire into her. The steam raiser's job, this. First, test the water in the boiler. Shut off the steam cocks and see that the regulator is closed. Yes, it's done with 2 ordinary household firelighters. And when your fire won't burn, think of the steam raiser and the size of his fire and try again.
Again this morning, Tom.
Booking on. The driver signs for printed details issued periodically to all train crews, setting out information affecting the running of trains. Crews also receive details of the trains they are to work and their time cards. Arrived at the engine, the fireman's first job, after checking the amount of water in the boiler, is to attend to his fire. The engine must be well up in steam by the time it leaves the shed. Test the vacuum brake, and it is almost time to be off.
6170, off the shed, 5-5 for the 525 crew.
Number 6170 is ready for the road. British craftsmanship has made her a thing of beauty and of power. That she is able to stand as a worthy upholder of a great tradition of safety and security in transport is in no small measure due to the time she spends on the shed.
Right, Tom.
"1985 started with heavy snow in the south and west country. Starting on Saturday the 19th of January 1985, ex-southern west of England trains are to run via Southampton at weekends until March for engineering purposes. November the 25th was the final withdrawal date for Class 46. One of the last 6 operational units, 46025, is seen here during the summer at York. With Class 40 numbers down to less than 20, they're the most popular choice for rail tours. The Class 40 Preservation Society organised a tour to Swindon, whilst the SLOA Santa Specials featured number 40118, together with 25080 on the 28th of December. RESL organised a double-headed Class 40 tour, the Royal Scot, which relived old memories on the ascent to Shap, a farm track to drown out the sound of the locos. BR organised some excursions before Christmas. The roast beef specials were advertised as Pullmans, but on the 16th of December, the Pullman Rail Mark I FO set was used on a run to York. BR also ran Milton Keynes Shoppers, DMUs, on 4 Saturdays over the freight-only line from Aylesbury to Bletchley, for which both Quainton Road and Winslow stations were opened. The ex-Great Central Main Line and terminus at Marylebone have become popular rail tour attractions. The Mayflower and Galatea Rail Tour was Class 45 hauled over this route. Marylebone was also host to the most sensational event of recent years in London's railway calendar. On the 12th of January 1985, 4498, Sir Nigel Gresley brought a late-running special into the terminus. Although a dim shot, we've included this for its historical interest. It's hoped that further steam excursions will use Marylebone this year. Preserved lines ran many Santa and mince pie specials around Christmas, usually at weekends, but the Kent and East Sussex and Bluebell ran some in the week as well. The Mid-Hants ran into trouble when N-class Mogul 31874 blew a cylinder, leading to abandonment of its train, but Bodmin was sent at speed to rescue the passengers. SLOA organised a rail tour behind 5007 Sir Edward Elgar to Kidderminster, where the Seven Valleys 2 Halls took over to work the first through train over the new link to BR. (6960) previously had a mainline outing south of Hereford with a Welsh Marches Express. Two most celebrated and much-loved ladies met when Flying Scotsman hauled a special train carrying Her Royal Highness the Queen Mother to open North Woolwich Station. The opportunity was taken for 4472 to work an excursion back to the north, from Spalding to Manchester, entitled the Fenman, and it's seen here departing from Nottingham. SLOA's annual post-Christmas Santa specials were run over the Settle and Carlisle. The trains were all worked by King Arthur-class Sir Lamiel, and our final view is of the gallant knight climbing up to Dent Station on a magical day of snow and clear blue skies.